everyone, welcome back to Coach Hall Writes. Today is day 3 of a new video series that I'm doing on my channel. For this video series, we are looking at Obama's 2013 commencement speech at Morehouse College. And we're doing a series of rhetorical analysis activities to help you prepare for the AP Lang exam. If you didn't get a chance to watch the previous 2 videos, I'll link them in the description box below. For today's video, we're going to be talking about commentary. I would venture to say that commentary is the most difficult part of any of the AP Lang essays. In my personal opinion, that's where it's sort of like the make it or break it point in essays. So what exactly is commentary? Commentary is your analysis or your insight. It also explains how the evidence connects to the thesis. For rhetorical analysis, you want to be sure to connect the rhetorical choice to the rhetorical situation. One of the issues that we tend to see with lower scoring essays is that the commentary is what we would consider limited commentary. So basically what that means is that there is an attempt at commentary, but the commentary is a bit simplistic or inconsistent. So the goal would be to make the commentary more precise and also more developed. This is an activity that I designed for my students to help them identify limited commentary and also to correct it. In my opinion, the first step is to be able to identify the limited commentary. That way you know what to avoid. If you'd like to do this activity along with the video, then please go ahead and check out the description box below. There you will find a link to make your own copy of these slides. To complete this activity, you're going to want to read the paragraph on the left. That paragraph contains multiple examples of limited commentary. Your job is to identify 3 examples of limited commentary and write them in that top box on the right. You don't have to write the whole sentence, just write the portion that you consider limited or vague. The final step is to choose one of the examples that you have above and rewrite it in the box below. Stay true to the original intention of the sentence, but be sure to add more precise phrasing and develop the idea further. If you're participating along with the video, then go ahead and pause the video now. When you resume the video, we'll talk about some possible answers. Here are some possible answers. For the limited commentary, I would say that phrases like touches the graduates' hearts would be considered limited commentary. I've also seen students use similar phrasing like opens the audience's eyes or opens the audience's hearts or paints a picture in the audience's mind. These phrases are limited because even though we know what you're trying to say, the phrasing is still a bit overused and it's also vague. For this particular paragraph, I would consider the phrases lots of things have gotten better and still lots of things that need improvement to be limited commentary as well. Because quite frankly, it doesn't say what has gotten better and what still needs improvement. So adding more specifics would help clarify that sentence. Right now, those 2 phrases are serving as a bit of a generalization, which is actually downplaying the intended point. You might have found other examples of limited commentary as well. Please keep in mind that answers will vary, so if your answers are different than mine, that's okay. Now, as far as the rewrite portion, answers for this will obviously vary as well, but I wanted to give you 2 samples. One of the tips that I give my students is that when they use the phrase message, argument, or purpose in their essay, I want them to actually say what the message, argument, or purpose is. Now, technically speaking with purpose, they don't necessarily need to actually use the word purpose most of the time. But for message, if you just say his message, it's vague and it doesn't show that you've understood the prompt. So for this particular sample, I wanted to demonstrate that you should actually expand and include what the message is. Now, something students sometimes tell me is, yeah, but I already included that in the thesis, or I mentioned it in the other body paragraph. That's good that it's mentioned in those other places as well, and if you're mentioning it in multiple places throughout your essay, it can help if you change up your phrasing a little bit. That being said, and this is just my opinion, so take it for what it's worth, but I would venture to say that for every opportunity that you have to be more specific in your essay, you should take advantage of that opportunity. Don't leave anything up to interpretation. So you can see there in the rewrite box, the top sample adds more specificity to that phrase, his message. Now, technically, that wasn't one of the examples I had above, but I did want to make that point in this video. So if you put his message as an example of limited commentary above, that one still counts. Now, for the second example, I used one of the examples of limited commentary that I had above. So this one is a rewrite of the phrase touches the graduates' hearts. That phrase is not only overused, but it's also very imprecise. So here's one possible way to rewrite that sentence to better convey the intended commentary. Mentioning MLK's experience at Morehouse resonates with the graduates, as it reminds them that they are part of a legacy of activists. So to get to that second sentence there, I had to ask myself, what do I really mean by touches the graduates' hearts? What's really happening? So what are they actually thinking about or experiencing when we say touches the graduates' hearts? And also, why does it touch their hearts? For the second part of this lesson, we're going to focus on connecting to the rhetorical situation. Last summer, I served as an AP reader for one of the rhetorical analysis prompts on last year's exam. As part of this experience, I read over 700 rhetorical analysis essays. And one of the most important observations I had was that several of the essays that scored a 1-2-0 based on the AP Lang rubric did so because there was an attempt at commentary, but the commentary was limited in some places or very repetitive, and the commentary did not necessarily connect the rhetorical choice to the rhetorical situation as clearly as desired. Please keep in mind that that is my own personal observation based on the essays that I read, but because of that observation, I wanted to show you this particular activity. I've used sentence frames with my students for the past several years. Sentence frames are basically sentences that are a starter sentence, and you have to plug in your own original ideas. I like using sentence frames with students because it helps them learn to vary their syntax, and also it helps students get started. Sometimes students have great ideas, they just struggle to get them out on paper. So let me talk you through these particular sentence frames so that you can complete this activity. The goal here is to use the provided sentence frames to write 2 sentences of your own. It's okay to modify the sentences as needed, but the idea is to make sure that you're referencing something about the rhetorical situation in the sentence that you write. I customize these particular sentence frames to this particular prompt. However, if you like these sentence frames, you could likely swap out the speaker's name, and you could actually use them for several other prompts as well. I also have a video about sentence frames on my channel that I'll link in the iCards above in case you want some more ideas. So let's talk about this first sentence frame. It says, given that he is speaking to, so you would want to include the specific audience there. There are multiple ways you could say this. You could say the graduating class of Morehouse College. You could throw in the year. You could say the all-male graduating class of Morehouse College. But the idea is that you want to reference the specific audience. Don't just say the audience. And then we have our speaker's name, President Obama. Now the ellipses there, the 3 dots, that's where you have to plug in your own idea. So what does he do? What choice does he make? And then we have the word because, so then you're going to finish the sentence by saying why he made that choice. Because might seem like a simple word, but it's actually a good way to lead into some commentary. If you watch the previous videos in this series, this is why we did those what and why annotations. For the second sentence frame, it says, given that the members of the audience are, this one is again addressing the audience. So you would probably fill it in a very similar way to that top sentence. Given that the members of the audience are graduating from a historically Black college. Or you could say something like, given that the members of the audience are about to embark on the next chapter of their lives. That might be a little bit cliche, but it would fit given that it's a graduation ceremony. So lots of different ways to finish that clause there. Then you'll put a comma, then you'll say Obama or President Obama, and you'll finish your claim. So the ellipses there after Obama, that's where you would say what he does, what choice does he make. Now we'll start a new sentence. So doing so, and then you'll finish the sentence. So what does doing so allow him to do? Does it allow him to create a certain tone? Does it allow him to connect with the audience? Does it allow him to personalize the speech? Try to be as specific as possible. For the third bullet point, it says, considering that he is speaking at a graduation ceremony. So instead of focusing on the audience, now we're focusing on the actual occasion or the exigence, the event at which he's speaking. Same idea here, we have President Obama and then the ellipses. So you would finish the sentence by making a claim about a choice that he makes. Now, you can actually include a short quote as evidence in a sentence like this if you wanted to. Doing so evokes a sense of blank within the graduates because. So instead of saying something like paints a picture in their mind or opens their hearts or even appeals to emotion, a better way to phrase that would be something like this. Doing so evokes a sense of, and we could say maybe pride, hope, patriotism perhaps. And then again, just like with the first sentence, we have because. So we want to say why. So you might be noticing that what, why trend in these sentences. The fourth sentence there says, given that he is the first Black president of the United States. I have a sentence frame that I use with my students that basically asks them to address the credentials of the speaker. So for this one, I filled it in for you. But the idea here is to think about who the speaker is and what his credentials are, because that would influence the speech as well. So we want to make sure that we're very careful about how we finish the sentence. The beginning of the sentence has to go with the rest of the sentence that we write. So what choice does he make that is relevant to him being the first Black president of the United States? You might think about some of the times when he used personal pronouns like I or we. The last bullet point, again, is one that can be used in a variety of ways for other speeches. So this one's thinking about the historical context. At the time of the speech, the United States was... Now, given that this speech was in 2013, you might not remember that time period super well, but you probably have a pretty good idea of what life was like. However, you could also use this particular sentence frame for older time periods as well, especially if you have historical knowledge of that time period. All right, so that was a quick walkthrough of how to use the sentence frames. Now, if you're following along with the video, I would like you to pause the video at this time and write 2 sentences of your own using 2 different sentence frames that have been provided. When you're done, go ahead and hit play so that you can resume the video. Here are some possible answers. Now, keep in mind, answers will vary. Also, as I was explaining the activity, I did give you several hints, but here are 2 sentences that are written out for you to see. The first one there actually sort of combines the first bullet point as well as one of the sentences in the third bullet point. So as you get more used to these sentence frames, you can actually customize them and mix and match them in order to find your own writing style. So that one says, given that he is speaking to the Morehouse graduates, President Obama references Dr. King in order to personalize the speech and evoke a sense of pride from the graduates. You could also say within the graduates there if you wanted to. Now for the second one, it says, given that the members of the audience are graduating, Obama challenges them to take what they've learned and use that knowledge to combat social ills. Even though the beginning of that sentence might seem a little bit simple, the rest of the sentence serves to address his main message as well. All right, so there you have it. Those were our 2 activities today to help with commentary. If you found this video helpful, I would love it if you would consider giving this video a thumbs up. And also, please double check that you're subscribed to the channel with your notifications turned on. I intend to do more videos like this leading up to the AP Lang exam, and I would hate for you to miss any of those. Thank you for your continued support, and until next time, happy writing!